All right. Sorry. And we are here. Gonna let a few people come in before I just start talking to nobody. It has been a very long day. Hey, Doodle Fart. Nice name, bud. Good evening. Appreciate you coming by. Hoping for answers. Hey, how are you doing? Cat Spade. Good evening. Alice of Legend. Hello and good evening. Good evening to you too. So, sorry I'm late. I'm always late, right? But hey, perfect timing for Dolphin. Appreciate that. My nephew, that's let me see, yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it real quick. Might cut this out of the live afterwards, but since you guys are here, my nephew had a wreck on Thursday night. My mom called me around 1 a.m. He was on his way home from working. He works on a farm. He's my sister that had got robbed at the Slurpee place or whatever it was. That's her son. It's her oldest son. It's my oldest nephew. And he moved down about 4 hours away to work the family farm that is leased out down there. And he's been there for about a year. He got married. He just had a baby, and his baby's got a lot of health issues too. And it's already a rough situation, and they're having a real hard time anyway. But he was on his way home. He called his wife, and he told her that he was headed home, that he should be there in a few minutes. And then after about 20 minutes that he didn't show up, she started calling him back. And when he never answered the phone, after about 15, 20 more minutes, she got worried. She loaded the kids in the car and went to look for him. And that's when she found his truck about a mile from her house. And it had hit a pole and flipped, and he wasn't in the truck. And she looked around and couldn't find him. And then she heard him, and apparently he could barely speak. And when she got over to him, it was a horrible scene, like horrible. Every part of his body, he's got a broken neck, a broken back, broken rib. Every part of his body is broken, fractured, or bruised. They don't believe that he'll ever walk again. He's on dialysis right now because his kidneys are shutting down. He's getting a lot of blood all week long because apparently broken bones absorb blood from your body, but he has no internal bleeding, so that's good. But it's a real bad situation. He's having to have a lot of surgeries, and like I said, they don't believe he'll walk again. He's real young with a sick child, and that's his first child, so it's absolutely horrible. I feel terrible for him. And that's, it's hard to get motivated to come on with a lot of stuff going on at the same time, right? And on top of that, like I said last time, my job just changed. I'm working a different schedule now, working later, working at pretty much a different pace. I still work at the same job. I still have the same position. I'm just at a different place. In this different place, they make like car parts there. I work for a contractor, but they make car parts, and it's melted aluminum. It's super hot in that building, so I'm just dragging every day and tired, and it's different lately. And then we have all that going on. I was barely sleeping last week. I have cut back on the Red Bulls. That's an obvious, right? Like, everybody was telling me, stop drinking so many Red Bulls. You're talking about you can't sleep. Why are you drinking so many Red Bulls? But it's a catch-22, right? Like, once you start, you can't sleep that night, so you get no sleep, so you try to go the next day to go to work, and you've got all kinds of stuff going on, so you're chugging Red Bulls all day to stay up and keep going, and then when it gets time to go to bed, you can't go to bed because of the Red Bulls. Crazy, right? But I have cut back a long way on them, and I've got some rest this week, feeling a lot better now, and hopefully he defies what they think. Just because they say they don't think he'll ever walk again doesn't mean that he won't walk again, right? Like, we've seen it in technologies at the highest point it's ever been in. So hopefully things go well, right? Hopefully he gets there. It's been rough. Hey Mimi, hey Crisis Cast, I appreciate it. Hoping for answers, thank you. Oh, I don't know how to say your name. Krikos? I'm gonna go with that. Krikos. Thank you for stopping by. Mimi, Dolphin, I've already seen you here. Yes, Mama Stormy, thank you for stopping by. Harlot Oscara, thank you. I hope he does too. Oh, so, hey Lee, how you doing? So with all that being said though, I haven't had a whole lot of time to really look into much on as far as the cases go. Of course, I've watched content on YouTube, like listened to it while I'm driving down the road and watched it in spare moments that I have. I try to keep up with Harsh Reality's channel a lot because I feel like me and him, we end up having the same outlook a lot of the times at things. We think the same lines, and I have to say that I agree with him on the last video that he made where he says that all these content creators are losing views, and I've definitely lost a lot of views and a lot of subscribers lately because there's not much going on with the case. So then a lot of people start just nitpicking, trying to find anything they can do to make a video about, to talk about, to find some avenue to speak on, right? Not all creators, and not even the creators that do that, not everything they say is out of line. That's not what I'm getting at, but I can't do that because I worry that if I start focusing in on little things that I don't believe equate to anything, then that's just going to open doors and cause confusion. It's not... When I make content, when I make videos, when I'm talking about my thoughts and my opinions on the cases, it's because I really believe what I'm saying, right? Like, I've got accused earlier this week of pandering to people because I turned on memberships and you can send super chats and stuff. So all of a sudden now I'm biased and I'm going to pander to the audience to say what people want to hear. That's ridiculous, right? If that was the case, then why would you want to hear what I have to say? It would be pointless. If I'm just going to say what you want to hear, why do you want to hear it? Anyway, so I've missed a whole lot about what's been going on, but the main thing that has stuck out to me is the house situation, 112 King Road. Why they want to tear it down, and what's the rush for them to tear the house down? That's bothersome to me. That it feels like it gives so much credence to every conspiracy theory out there when they do this. Why is the owner of a house donating that house to the college? I understand some gruesome things took place there, right? And it's horrible. But if you're invested into that property, why would you just give it to the college and then the college destroy it? And why is the rush to do it? Like, if you want to do that, fine, but why not leave it standing, board it up, and wait until the trial is done? Because the last thing you want is for the jury to want to see the location. You've already got like a time frame. A lot of the stuff with the arrest affidavit comes down to how the car is going and turning and where they parked and how they could go in and out. There's not, even though I believe there's plenty of time for everything to have happened within the few minutes that they say it happened, because things happen fast, right? Especially if people are asleep. The jury might want to see the layout. They might want to see what might be possible. Could one person pull this off? They might want to see that. And then if the college has turned around and tore the house down already and it's no longer there and they're just looking at pictures, it's not the same. Just like in the Alex Murdaugh trial, they wanted to go out to the property. They sent the jury out to the property, and that helped the jury decide whether they thought that, the case was plausible. No. Why would you tear it down? Why? Why not wait? Why? I don't understand tearing it down at all, but that's just me. But if you're going to tear it down, why before the trial? It's stupid to me, and it's just going to breed more conspiracy theories, especially when you got apparently the Brady Giglio, whatever you want to call that situation, where there might be some problems with other evidence. You don't want to get rid of anything that could be a problem. And Ashley Banfield, she had the letter that the college sent out to the parents, and I seen another clip that said something about what one of the sets of the victim's parents, I'm not sure which one, wanted the house to stay up, didn't want the house tore down. And then maybe even Kohlberger. That could be another point for him. Now, I know some people think he's innocent, some people think he's guilty. He seems guilty, like I've said. If everything that we've heard is true, he seems guilty to me. But at the same time, we don't know if everything was said was true, right? Especially with this cop is not credible, and he's working this case and he's worked another case, and maybe he's lying on this case, maybe he's lying on a different case, but his credibility is shot. That's why they're having to bring it there. There's so many questions. There's so much going on. Don't add to it. You know, it's crazy. Yes, Crisis Cast. I am definitely always saying what I think, what I believe. I mean, I don't prepare enough to pander to anybody. I'm watching true crime, listening to true crime, looking at documents, trying to get an understanding for me, and then trying to explain my thoughts and my reasoning to you guys. I don't even know. I mean, I guess I could pander in the sense of being like, oh yeah, Kohlberger's innocent for sure, and they're just trying to frame him, and I could go down and find the list of reasons for why it looks like they're trying to frame him, and that might be the case, you know, but to me, there's no evidence of that. If I wanted to pander, I feel like that would be the way to go, because that's who's still focusing on this case. Most of the people that are diehard onto this case, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear all the reasons why Brian's not the guy, right? So if we're going for views, if we're going to try to just stay relevant and make videos about everything, it's a lot easier to find reasons why there's problems with this case than why there's not. All right. Now, of course, there's problems, but those problems to me don't equate to Kohlberger being, innocent. If he is innocent, then the trial should show that. As much stuff as they dug through, they should be able to show that he is guilty. Oh, I said that backwards. If he is guilty, the trial should be able to show that. The trial can't prove him innocent. You can't be proven innocent, period. That's why it's guilty or not guilty. And not guilty doesn't mean innocent. Just for clarification for people. Not guilty just means that we can't prove you did this. There's reasonable doubt that you did this, so you're not guilty. You might be innocent and get a not guilty, but a not guilty doesn't mean that you're innocent. It means that the state failed to prove the case against you. And then you have double jeopardy, which means if they fail to prove the case against you, they can't try you again. If Brian Kohlberger gets a not guilty and then somebody releases the video of him committing the crime or hard evidence that says he did it, oh well, he was already found not guilty. There's no going back. That's why police do the investigation before bringing the charges most of the time, right? A lot of people get mad about why arrest, like with Leilani Simon and the Quentin Simon stuff. Even me, it's like, why are you not arresting this woman? It's obvious what happened, right? We see what's going on here. You can look at her and tell that she did it, and you're not arresting her. But the police, they only have one shot. They have to bring charges that they can prove, right? So when it comes to this, if you overshoot, if you go for a charge that's too big and you can't prove that charge, because each charge, like murder 1, murder 2, manslaughter, there's so much to each one of those charges. And if it's a murder 2 case, like, see, for me, Alex Murdaugh, I can't say that they proved that case, right? I can't say they proved that he pulled the trigger and did what they found him guilty of doing. I listened to that whole trial. I can't see that. Now, if they were saying that he hired somebody to do it, or that he was involved in it, or he stood to benefit from it, you know, there's different charges that I could get behind. But when it says he pulled the trigger, and then there's still reasonable doubt that even the prosecution says we can't rule out 2 gunmen. Well, if we can't rule it out, then that leaves, that's the definition of reasonable doubt, right? So, yeah, the Quentin Simon thing, it was rough, Dolphin. It was. Like, I got super emotional about it. Surprised that some of the things that I said on videos didn't get me, like, kicked off of YouTube, because I was pretty harsh. I don't hate many people. Like, I don't use that term lightly. Like, oh, I hate this. I hate Leilani Simon. Hate her. I hate her face. I hate the way she looks. I hate the way she acted during the interviews while they're out looking for her child and she can't wipe the smile off her face. I hated it, right? I'm sorry. I'm getting off track with that, but I hope she gets everything she deserves by every mother that actually cares about their child that's in prison, right? I hope she feels more pain than he ever did. Oh. So, guys, it's like I said, I haven't really been able to go through and look into things. So is there anything I need to look into, or anything you guys would like to talk about? Anybody want to come up and talk, do an open panel? Because I have not had any time to prepare for this at all. Let's read some chat. J-Rod, appreciate you coming by, bud. Appreciate you coming by. Cat Spade, you absolutely do not pander. You are very fair and you think thoughtfully about these cases. I do. Sometimes I think too deep about it, right? Sometimes I'll conflict myself in ways. Like, I believe in the justice system. Not that I believe it's always fair or always handled correctly, but I believe in they have to be aware of your rights. They can't violate your rights to prove a case, right? I'm not a fan of, well, this person is obviously a bad person and they did this and I know they did it, so we're gonna violate their rights in order to prove that they did it. If you have to violate their rights to prove that they did it, then you can't prove that they did it, right? I want every person that's accused, I try to put myself in that position and say, okay, if I'm innocent and I'm accused of a crime, how would I want to be treated? And that's how I expect other people to be treated, regardless of what I think about them, right? Even Leilani Simon, but everything is there for her, so it's not a problem. But even Leilani Simon, I don't believe her rights should be violated in order to prove or disprove, right? If you did something and the cops are doing their job right, they should be able to prove it without violating rights. And if you ever support them to violate somebody's rights, even if you feel that person is guilty, if you support their rights being violated in order to prove it, then you're begging somebody to violate your rights. And the last thing you want is to be an innocent person accused of a crime and your rights not matter, because your rights are the only thing keeping you safe from the corrupt government that we have. And whichever side you fall on, we all know that it's two sides of the same coin, right? Money makes the world go round. Power corrupts, absolutely, right? Oh, wait, I'm all stimulated. But yeah, I don't believe people's rights should be violated to prove the crime. So I always end up trying to look at things with the presumption of innocence in mind, and then the evidence that they're presenting and what that evidence means, right? Like, that's why in the beginning, when you go back to this, when they first arrested Kohlberger, and people were saying, well, we know he's guilty because his DNA was on the knife sheath. Part of me comes back and says, no, that doesn't prove anything other than he touched the knife sheath and the knife sheath was at the scene. That doesn't put him at the scene at that night. It means he touched the knife sheath. Now, if it was a different circumstance of DNA, like all over the knife sheath, where it was obvious he was handling it and there was nobody else's DNA on it, and it was laying right there at the crime scene like it was, then it would start to seem a little more like, okay, well, yeah, this really does something, right? Or, well, he's got the same car as the one that they saw. Yeah, well, there was 23,000 of that type of car that they had to rule out before they could say, this is the car, this is the person. So there's 23,000 other people it could be if you're only using the car. But there's a lot of details that start to come out. Like, okay, well, that car didn't have a front license plate. All the cars in the state of Idaho and Washington are supposed to have front and back license plate. Brian Kohlberger is from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania doesn't have a front license plate. So then it starts to come together more, right? And then you have the fact that, okay, so his DNA was found at the crime scene on a knife sheath that matches the type of weapon that was used to commit the crime. His car matches the car that's on camera in the area around that time. His cell phone records show that he left his house headed in that direction before his phone lost signal, had no signal for the duration of the crime, and then came back on shortly after, where he came back home. Then he went back to the scene of the crime around 9 o'clock that morning. And then there's the whole arrested with gloves and DNA and the Instagram stuff, if that turns out to be true. And that's why I always preface it with, oh, well, if everything we've heard is true, then I believe he's probably guilty. Still probably guilty, because all that stuff could still be true and him be innocent. It's a long shot, though. It's a very long shot that everything that we've heard could be true and him still be innocent. But it's possible. It's possible, but it's not probable, right? So each little individual piece of evidence, I myself can sit here and tear it apart. And I have at certain times as it dripped out. But once it's all dripped out and then you look at it as a whole, which is what the court does, the totality of the evidence, then it kind of paints an obvious picture of, okay, this seems to be what was going on. Now, as far as right now, though, we don't know if he had help, if he was hired to do it. We don't know details around why he did it necessarily. We don't know details around what type of relationship he might have had with the victims, if any, if he knew them at all. We don't know if it was pre-planned or not. There's so much that we don't know that people assume that we know, right? And that's the downfall. That's where people get hung up on, well, he's definitely guilty because he was an incel who was in love with Kaylee or Maddie and couldn't have them. And it's like, okay, but we don't know that for sure, right? It's good theory, real good theory. Just like the book with page 118. It's a hell of a coincidence that Elliot Rodgers' manifesto on page 118 lays out so perfectly things that line up with this case. And then you have the naysayers who say, well, that's not really a book. Cops wouldn't call that a book. Cops are not super educated people. Cops are not, if they see if this was a story written on this notepad right here, it wouldn't be unusual that a cop might call that a book. I'm just saying. It didn't have the title of a book on the evidence, right? So that's why we don't know. And it could have been any other book. It could have been a Goosebumps book. Could have been a Harry Potter book. Could have been any type of book. But we know it was taken for evidence that it had highlighting on page 118. And page 118 of Elliot Rodgers' manifesto has a lot of things that line up similar to what seems to have happened in this case, right? But it hasn't been proven, so we can't use that to say, well, he's definitely guilty because of that. I see a lot of people online make those leaps that come at me about it. And then the other way, a lot of people say, well, this is ridiculous because that's not even a real book. Come on. It's a 140-page printable document. It's a book. It doesn't have to be published to be a book. Or layman's terms, a book. Anyway, I got way off track there. Let's read some more. Is it true that Brent Kopaka had a silver Elantra? I believe so. I believe either he had one or his mother had one or somebody that he had lived with had one, because there was pictures of it beside a big white truck at early on when they were, talking about Brent Kopaka. Oh, Mama Stormy, that he had a silver Elantra. It's very possible. Crisis Cast, missed your first part. You're in love with Maddie right now. That's a little out there, bud. Oh, yeah, I feel you. Already have your shirt off. Harlot says that she has heard he has a silver Elantra, but has not seen where that info came from or searched it to make sure it's coming from an official source and not just a rumor or speculation. See, that's one of the big problems with this case is we don't get much from an official source. And anything that we do get from an official source is only going to serve to paint Bryan Kohberger as the guilty party, right? Because the person, the people in charge that are allowed to say, okay, we're going to release this information, they're the ones that are accusing Bryan Kohberger of the crime. So if I was saying that you did something to me, I'm not going to release evidence that might paint a narrative that somebody else could have done it, right? They should. It should, but they're not going to. Oh, hey, Carrie. I appreciate that. But yeah, there was a picture early on of Brent Kopaka's parents' house or something with the big white truck and the silver Elantra. And that's where a lot of people said they had it. You're in Boise. Going to go to trial in the morning. Oh. Okay. You're going to trial or you're going to the trial when it happens? Does it say in the morning? Yeah, okay. Oh. Vallow case. Yeah. That one's, oh my goodness. Look, I had not even heard of that, right? Like I said, a lot going on, and I've been caught up in the Idaho case and Stephen Smith and Alex Murdaugh. But I listened to that on the way to work yesterday morning. That's a wild story. Like, the fact that her ex-husband or whatever had called and said that she was saying she thought she was a god and that he feared for him and his kid's life, and then a little bit later her brother ends up like shooting him or something like that. That was intense. I watched a video from, let me see who that was, because this was the best video, the most informative video on Elliot Rodgers as far as the incel thing that I have seen, right? And I want to tell you guys so you can check it out. It's a big true crime creator, like millions of subscribers, true crime creator. And I listened to that. I almost wanted to watch that on stream with you guys and talk about it, because it's called The Killer Virgin, The Delusional Case of Elliot Rogers by Coffee House Crime. But it really made me want to watch it with you guys, because when I start thinking about it, the way he describes Elliot Rogers in the beginning, it's just like everybody. Everybody always looks at people they look up to and thinks that those people don't have the same problems they have, that they don't have the same concerns, that they don't have the same troubles and worries that you have. But the reality is, you're just not in that inner circle to know what those troubles and worries, that everybody has problems. People who seem like they have everything together, they have sometimes more problems than most of us, because they've got more going on, right? But it really gives the look into how Elliot Rogers went from just a regular person for the most part, and convinced himself that women just didn't like him, even though he wasn't doing his part to put himself out there. He wasn't doing anything. Like, he wanted people to come to him, right? And attempt to be his friend without himself ever having to put himself out there. And then when they didn't, he's like, oh, there must be something wrong with me, because people aren't going out of their way to try to be my friend. And that was the message that I got from Coffee House Crime's video on Elliot Rogers today while I listened to it. Oh, I'm trying to get my mind right. Like I said, severe ADHD, people. Severe ADHD. Oh. The Vallow. Let me look this up for anybody who doesn't know about the Vallow case. Let me see if I can find something to share with you guys to let everybody know what this is. Oh, there we go.
She's lost her mind. I don't know how to say it.
Her name is Lori Vallow.
She talks about people having dark spirits that she can see, and
The so-called Doomsday Mom.
tell us where the kids are.
When the world wondered if her two missing children were safe,
Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
she and her new husband said nothing.
They actually look at law enforcement as maybe the instrumentality for their apocalyptic ending.
But investigators unearthed the truth. 3 years later, the accused Arizona mother will finally stand trial in Idaho. Murder, money, and the end of days. This.
All right, so I'm going to watch this because I can't slow my mind down to just communicate tonight. Maybe this will help me get in the right mindset. Crisis cast. Don't believe what the media says about Lori Vallow. She may very well be for real. We don't know if she's guilty. All we get is a one-sided perception, and she could very well have a divine knowledge. I don't know anything about it for other than what I heard. And what I heard this morning was what they said she has done. So outside of that, then I don't know the details of the case. That's kind of why I want to watch this, because I want to figure out what it is. But a divine knowledge? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by divine knowledge? Well, because she's definitely not a god, right? Like, that's obviously not what you mean. So that's why that caught my attention. Divine knowledge. What does that mean? Let me try to calm myself down. My ADHD is in full effect right now. Like my mind is just racing because I don't have anything that I'm focused on. I'm trying to focus in on this, and then I'll be able to communicate so much better.
Is the Lori Vallow story. I'm Fox 10 investigator Justin Love. Lori Vallow was known as an all-American mother and a devout Mormon. How did this persona transform into a triple murder defendant? Tomorrow, Lori's trial officially begins after multiple delays due to her mental competency. She's charged with killing her two kids, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. She's also charged with conspiring with her husband, Chad Daybell, to murder her children, as well as conspiracy in the murder of Chad's first wife, Tammy Daybell. Both Lori and Chad were set to be tried.
See, that's something that's so strange to me. I'm a father, right? I've got one biological child. He's 5. He'll be 6 in May. One biological child, but I have stepchildren. I have a 12-year-old stepson from my previous marriage, and I have my stepson now. He's 6, right? And luckily, him and my son, they started kindergarten together. They go to school together. They do everything. They have the same interests. They're very different people, but I have kids. I couldn't imagine. There's nothing in this world that would ever even let the thought cross my mind to hurt them. And like, I would die before I would hurt them in any way on purpose, right? To think that these people, like Alex Murdaugh, what he's accused of, shooting his own son to save his butt, that's insane to me. I understand people do it. I've seen some crazy things with these trials and stuff, but I understand why people are in disbelief of somebody could just plot and plan to get rid of their kids for a man or a woman. Like, never. So crazy.
Tried together until a judge decided to split their cases. But the trail of things that follows Lori starts here in Arizona. Lori's fourth husband, Charles Vallow, raised red flags, claiming his wife's religious beliefs evolved into something dangerous.
You thought it was possible that he was going to hurt you?
Absolutely, he was gonna hurt me and Tylee.
Okay.
Not JJ, he would never hurt JJ.
Okay.
And he hurt my mother. He was going like ballistic about.
So this is about her husband, I'm assuming.
Lori and her brother Alex Cox tell Chandler detectives a story, a narrative of a fight turned deadly.
Okay. So you pulled him to the ground, you got back up.
I got back up, he hit me in the back of the head. I don't know if it was with the bat or not. I assume it was.
Okay.
He had it.
A struggle involving a baseball bat, ending with gunshots just hours earlier.
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense. Who else is there in the house? This one.
He's right here in the living room. Firearm's gonna be in the front door, in the front bedroom, laying on the ground next to it.
All right, so I don't know if her brother has anything to do with like any of the crazy stuff, but let's do a story time real quick because I can't turn my mind off. I have shot somebody before, not just willy-nilly. Somebody was trying to kick my door in and beat a friend of mine and my vehicles that were in the driveway with a baseball bat. So I opened the door and did what I did. I gotta watch what I say, right? Like, I don't want to be graphic and get, in trouble on YouTube. But I have done it before. And this was a stranger. I didn't know this person. This person was attacking, right? And even in that scenario, even though I'm military, even though I'm trained, when I called the cops about it, I wasn't just, I just shot somebody. I just shot him in self-defense. I'm not giving my alibi up right there. I'm like, I need somebody to come out here. Somebody was trying to break into my house. I shot them. I don't know if they're okay. That was my reaction to it. So anytime I hear somebody super calm like that, or like the suitcase lady, right? The whole, yeah, I locked my boyfriend in a suitcase and he died and I didn't know it was gonna happen, but it happened and he's dead. And just completely emotionless. That's always just like, boom, right in my mind, right? Like, oh, that's not right. That's not how things happen.
July 11th, 2019, just after 7:30 that morning, Charles Vallow arrived at the rental home where Lori was living with their adopted son JJ and Lori's daughter Tylee Ryan. 7-year-old JJ lived with autism, and 16-year-old Tylee was his big sister and protector. Charles came to take JJ to his school for special needs. For some reason, his brother-in-law Alex had stayed the night. Tylee later told police that an argument between her mom and Charles broke out, so she grabbed a bat and pointed at him.
I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly, like, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure, like, rage.
Lori says Tylee went outside to check on JJ, who was in Charles's rental car.
You go back to your room. Yeah. Get the gun. Yep. Come back to the living room. Yep. Now, Tylee and Lori are gone. Yep. And it's just me and Charles in there. And then I told him, I said, Charles, put that back down. What are you gonna do about it?
So you heard the shot?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if you went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't.
As the 62-year-old laid on the floor bleeding, his wife took off.
Her husband was 62 years old. How old is she? How old is Lori Vallow? This case is just as wild as the Alex M case. A lot of twists and turns. That's suspicious.
I saw that he was on the ground and was freaking out.
Yeah.
And so I was just freaking out, and it just went into mama and like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I gotta get to the kids. I just felt like I gotta get to the kids.
Driving Charles's car, Lori, Tylee, and JJ stop at Burger King before bringing the boy to school. An hour later, Lori and Tylee return home.
How long do you live here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's what I knew.
Gotcha.
Like, hi, neighbor, sorry.
At the scene, Lori never asked police about the well-being of her husband.
Charles was a semi-pro baseball player, and if someone got hit with a bat from Charles Vallow, they would not be walking out to the curb, showing a little, boo-boo on the back of their head.
Charles's ex-wife Cheryl Wheeler was with him for 13 years and is the mother of his 2 sons. In the days following the fatal shooting, Lori's text to both of his...
That's a little misleading. Just because he was a semi-pro baseball player, of course, any grown man can swing a bat hard, right? It's all in your intentions of what you're trying to do. Are you trying to subdue the person? Are you trying to stop them from hurting you? Or are you trying to take their head off? Or both. I mean, it could be both. I'm not saying that he's automatically at fault, but I'm just saying the way she's like, oh, well, he was a pro baseball player, so if he hits you with a bat, that's that. Not necessarily. Like, that means he would have more control. That he would be able to control better how hard he hits you. What he knows how much force he's putting into it.
His boys don't reveal much. In fact, they couldn't even get their stepmom on the phone.
The fact that Lori wasn't communicating with my boys, she never picked up the phone. All of it was done through texting. That there was something else going on.
When Charles...
But like I said, I don't know much about this, so I don't have an opinion necessarily past what I heard, right?
was alive several months earlier, he called Gilbert police about his wife's behavior.
He said, "You're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers."
But who would believe him?
If she's as irrational as you say, I think maybe we can get it done.
That's dirty, Carrie.
In the following weeks, Charles filed for divorce, saying Lori claimed to be a translated being. an exalted goddess preparing for the second coming of Christ. Charles wanted sole custody of JJ.
I think that Charles, having it on record, having police reports, having body cam footage, helped a lot to see how desperate he was for help.
About a month after Charles died, Lori's other brother, Adam Cox, spoke to Chandler police.
I felt bad for Charles. And so I said, Charles, I'll do what I can to help, and Lori won't talk to me because she thinks I think she's crazy.
Lori spent much of her time praying at the Mormon temple, but Adam learned she had taken interest in a certain genre of books.
About maybe a year or two ago, Lori started reading some books and near-death experience books and started saying some weird things. She talks to Jesus in the temple, and she's married to Moroni.
Text messages obtained from Chandler's case file reveal Charles was someone else, a dark spirit named Ned or Nick Schneider.
So, was this woman like possessed or something? Like, what's going on in her mind? Did she just get into these dark arts? Who knows about this case? Because now I'm going to be stuck on this. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on this tonight. Probably not going to get any sleep tonight. Oh my God. Why did I do this?
Investigators say she shared these beliefs with Chad Daybell, a fictional author in Idaho who thought of himself as a visionary after having...
Yeah, I know, Cat. That's wild.
Chad and Lori first met in 2018 at a conference for doomsday preppers. According to the police report, they believed they had been married in a past life and were meant to be together, despite already being married to other people. 2 days after Charles was killed, police say Chad texted Lori this loving note. Detectives learned that Lori and Chad led a small group of like-minded people at the time.
Okay, so that's like a huge red flag, right? Like, your husband just got killed by your brother and you're texting some other guy and he's talking about coming to snuggle you. Like, wow. That's insane. Like, I get, even if you were cheating, which, you know, obviously we don't condone cheating. It's not that type of content. This isn't, you know, Fresh and Fit. But even if you're cheating, you have no feeling, you have no remorse. Your husband just got murdered, and murdered is a strong word. It could have been self-defense, but you're already talking to in 2 days. You're already talking about you want to. Man, that's weird. That's so weird to me.
Even a woman named Zulema Pastenes, someone Lori went to for spiritual guidance. Before Charles was killed, the two women referred to him as a new dark spirit named Diplos.
Okay, so Sunday, June 2nd, 2019. Yes, it does. Let's put some fire energy towards Hiplos now. He is driving now, and today is the day. I can do it spiritually. Let's go to him and hover over the truck till we do it. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go now. That is powerful. I'm still sending fire. So these people are absolutely nutcases. Nutcases.
Police say for Lori and Chad to fulfill...
That said, yes it is. I'm blinding him with UV light. Just in case y'all didn't catch that.
Their religious prophecy, Charles needed to die. When he did, it was time to put a claim on a $1 million life insurance policy.
And what was the cause of his passing? Well, he was shot. Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident.
But the autopsy report ruled...
Was it an accident? Or it was self-defense?
Charles' death a homicide. He was shot twice in the chest and stomach. And according to the medical examiner, the second bullet hit him while he was on his back.
They shot him. They killed him. And I don't know if it was for money or if they thought he was that evil spirit named Ned. And And Lori can't deny any of that.
Months before Charles's death, he made a change to his life insurance policy, naming his sister Kay Woodcock as the beneficiary. With no payout, Lori, her kids, and Uncle Alex said goodbye to Arizona.
That's satisfying for some reason. That's like that final F you know, to, oh, you killed me. You thought you were going to be, oh yeah, you thought you were going to get $1 million, but you're not getting $1 million. If there's nothing else you can do, at least burn them with that. In June of 2021, a Maricopa County grand jury indicted Lori Vallow on 1 count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in the death of Charles Vallow.
Coming up, another shooting linked to Lori Vallow leads investigators up north. The summer of 2019 was over. Lori Vallow put the death of her estranged husband behind her and fled Arizona with her 2 kids. But now another Valley police agency would learn her name.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just shot my window.
On an October morning in the town of Gilbert, Brandon Boudreaux calls 911.
As I was trying to pull in my driveway, they just drove off. I saw them drive off.
Police respond to this quiet suburb to find Brandon's Tesla with a shattered driver's side window hit by 1 bullet.
They were very professional, whatever they're doing.
You have any enemies? Anybody that you...
Went through a divorce.
A divorce from the mother of his 4 kids, but also Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie.
There was like some kind of a muzzle thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just lifted up the back gate and shot.
In 2021, Gilbert PD determined there was probable cause to believe Lori, her then boyfriend Chad Daybell, and her late brother Alex Cox orchestrated Brandon's murder, despite failing. Fox 10 obtained photos of the recovered suspect vehicle, a Jeep Wrangler with Texas plates registered to Charles Vallow. But at the time of the shooting, Charles was already dead. Detectives believe Lori, Chad, and
Hey, Agape.
windows tinted, removed the back seat and the back wheel so Alex could shoot from the Jeep's rear. Brandon
wow.
had just moved to this home, claiming his ex-wife Melanie was one of the few who knew his address.
Yesterday, we responded to a call for service because somebody tried to shoot me. Do you have any idea about this? Or anybody who would have any desire to do something like this?
The day after the shooting, as Melanie was speaking with the detective, GPD believes this is Alex and Lori on security footage carrying a Jeep wheel and backseat out of a storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho. When Melanie was asked about Lori and her kids,
Do you know what it was now?
No, they've kind of mentioned that they just need fresh start and unsure what's going on in the family.
Okay, but what happened to the indictment for her husband? Is that just going on in the background right now, that it's not, like, during this time? Is that not, did that get dropped? Was it, like, I just missed that, I guess. I don't know how I missed that. Like, it said she was indicted. I read that. But she just moved away and starting fresh? How does that work? Yeah, Idaho seems like a lot more than potatoes these days, huh?
yet Melanie would soon move to Rexburg right next door to her aunt. Police would begin to link Lori and Chad's spiritual beliefs as a motive for murder. GPD's report says the couple felt Brandon was possessed by a dark soul, and the idea spread within their inner circle.
Not only is it dark.
You know, did these people ever stop to think that on the 1 in a billion chance that they're right about all these people being possessed by these dark souls, have they not stopped and thought, why is it always people surrounding us that are surrounded by these dark? Why is it always people that it would benefit us to get rid of that are corrupted by these dark souls? Maybe the problem is you. Maybe you're the dark soul.
He's actually, we found out more about him. So first he's dead. Now we
we know he's actually a high level. He's like up there with Hitler.
In October 2018, Melanie Gibb met Lori Vallow at the Church of Jesus Christ.
Carrie, will you email me later so that we can get a line of communication since you're going to be at this trial? We are doing jury selection right now, and I hope to attend. Can share with you all what is going down. Yes, ma'am. Please email me. Somebody would post my email in the chat. I would really appreciate that. But it's southernlogicyt@gmail.com.
Christ Latter-day Saints in Gilbert. They became best friends, recording podcasts about their faith. It was Melanie who introduced Lori to Chad at a conference called Preparing a People. It took less than a year for Lori to follow the author who wrote about fictional apocalyptic events.
Only one shot, right?
The misfire led to the discovery of another suspicious death.
I'm calling reference a death investigation that it's now determined happened in your jurisdiction. The decedent's going to be a Tamara Daybell.
Yeah.
Coming up, 2 dead spouses, 2 missing kids, and how investigators track down the so-called Doomsday Moms.
That's so wild. J-Rod, Idaho 4. 8 to 9 hours to make a 911 call for medics for a passed out roommate. Unconscious roommate's what they said, to be fair. Forensic personnel got there by 5 p.m. Been 5 minutes away. That's a 5 hour. What do you mean by that? That lost me. Forensic personnel got there by 5 p.m. Been 5 minutes away. Oh, okay. I know what you're saying. Yeah, never mind. I got you. So, forensics didn't get to the Idaho 4 scene until 5 p.m.? Really? I mean, we know that not much could have been going on with them since there was no homicides or anything in the last 7 years. So what were they doing? But yeah, I mean, there are so many questions with the Idaho 4 case, J-Rod. I'm with you. Like, I have a lot of questions. And the only reason that I don't go through exploring all those options is because there's certain things that I've already talked about in older videos that there's no point in beating a dead horse, you know? Like, until the information is released, if the answers aren't there at that point, then I'll start bringing it back up again. But it really doesn't do that much good for me to stay on the grind of wanting answers to questions while the gag orders are in place and they're not going to give me answers anyway. We're not going to get it. And it's just, at that point, it's just me making content then. And, I mean, I'm all for making content, but I don't want to, like, exploit, if that makes sense. To some degree, it is exploiting anyway, but at the same time, I'm a person, I have opinions, you know, so I don't see it that way. But if I start just saying things and repeating myself multiple times, making the same videos and exploring different avenues that maybe the answers are going to come out, you know, I'm trying to struggle with the way to define this. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not saying it very well at all. I'd rather wait to see what information comes out and then revisit the questions that I've already asked about why this and why that and Dylan Mortensen and unconscious person and 911 call and all that. I want to see what their answers for that are and see if those answers make sense rather than just keep harping on it because I don't feel like it gets me anywhere. You know, it's just, if I just keep harping on it, it gives me content, but that's where I feel like I would just be exploiting victims, and I don't want to do that. But I know what you're saying. I agree with you completely. Like, it's some strange questions and some strange circumstances, and I want those answers too. But until those gag orders go away, we're not getting them. we're not getting answers for anything. The forensic lady on her interview said that she didn't get there right away due to she let cops do what they do. What is that? I mean, the cops are going to do their investigation, but it feels like the forensic lady should be there as soon as possible to preserve the crime scene. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
In Arizona and Idaho now needed the FBI to get involved. The time was ticking as authorities learned Lori Vallow's 2 kids had vanished, and she wasn't going to be truthful. We want to warn you, some details are graphic. A mother of 5, a librarian with a kind heart, and Chad Daybell's college sweetheart. Tammy Daybell died in her sleep on October 19, 2019. She was believed to be healthy.
The family said they don't want an autopsy, therefore the coroner just signed off and if they're funeral home check.
Yes, that's pretty much how it works.
Gilbert Police Detective Ryan Pillard called Fremont County Dispatch in Idaho to learn more.
We just have some cases down here that got our attention with this Daybell.
He wanted to know who tried to kill Brandon Boudreaux earlier that month, and he knew about the alleged affair between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
They were saying that Tammy was supposed to die.
So was she sleeping with her brother too, though? Like, I know this guy and her, but how is her brother... Ew. Ew.
On her trip to Utah.
Zulema Pastenes told detectives her good friends, Chad and Lori, believed in a grim vision.
And then when she didn't pass away, then they were saying was that she actually did pass away, but what happened was that she was taken over by an evil spirit, and then they were, that she went and passed away.
Justifying death using religious beliefs was Chad and Lori's MO. According to investigators, Chad cashed in on Tammy's $400,000 life insurance policy and quickly married Lori less than 3 weeks later in Hawaii. But Lori's children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan, were nowhere to be seen.
So JJ's grandparents came this weekend and they took him for a few weeks to give me a break. So he won't be back until probably the end of October. I wish I had other work for you to do.
Lori's text to JJ's nanny was simply not true. The boy's grandparents had not seen him for a while. 7-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee had barely moved to Rexburg, Idaho from Arizona that fall. As for Big Sister, the last verified sighting of Tylee was with JJ, Lori, and her uncle Alex Cox at Yellowstone National Park on September 8th. And one of the last people to see JJ was Lori's best friend, who visited 2 weeks later. Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend planned to record a podcast with Lori on September 22nd.
She texts me and says
something to the effect of, I'll be there shortly. JJ woke up and I'm trying to get him back to sleep.
And that was at night.
It was about 8:30 at night.
Well, okay, because we didn't do the podcast yet. It must have been at Alex's house getting him to sleep over there, I'm guessing.
In an email from a Chandler detective to the FBI, Nate Duncan...
Are there podcasts of these people? Are they still on YouTube? Like, is there videos of these people talking about their craziness that are up, or is all that stripped down, or is it just imaginary? I need an answer to that one. Does anybody know about that? They said they had a podcast. Oh wow. What's the name of, like, how could I find that? Are they still up or are they down? Lori Vallow and friends, they had a podcast. Are those podcasts still available? Daybell's demise. Thank you.
It said he was looking through Lori's iCloud records. Quote, in regards to the children, it appears Lori has 2 photographs on her phone of significance. Pictures of rifle ammunition from a store in Idaho. Possibly the last photo of JJ taken on September 22nd, seen here. By late November, Lori's story on her son's whereabouts changed again when Rexburg police arrived for a welfare check.
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
It just was kind of weird.
It is very weird. I've had to move around a lot.
She said JJ was with Melanie, which was not true. Lori and Chad then bolted out of Rexburg, nowhere to be found. Alex moved in with Zulema back in Gilbert after they got married. When authorities exhumed Tammy's body on December 11th, 2019, Zulema confronted Alex.
They exhumed this body and did I find anything? Do you have anything to do with it? And he said no.
Investigators believe Alex tried to shoot Tammy 10 days before she died, but failed. He told his wife he might be getting framed.
What is it? Tell me. What is it that they're trying to pin on you? What did they do?
Alex died of natural causes the next day, according to the medical examiner.
There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
Just weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic began, police arrested Lori in Kauai on charges of child abandonment, and she was brought back to Idaho. The search for JJ and Tylee continued until it ended in Chad's backyard on a summer day.
Oh no. So they found the kids buried in the backyard? Is that what happened?
As Lori spoke to Chad from jail, investigators discovered 2 sets of human remains, later identified as JJ and Tylee. Court documents reveal on September 9th and 23rd of 2019, Alex Cox's cell phone pinged at the spots where the children would be found. Police say Lori believed they had become zombies. What was left of Tylee's remains? Charred bones and tissue.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
Wrapped in tight plastic and duct tape. His hands were folded about chest high. He had duct tape.
Zombies?
Wrapped from elbow all the way around his arms. It took nearly a year for Chad and Lori to be indicted on murder charges in connection to the deaths of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy.
The thousands of hours that have been invested into seeking the truth for these innocent victims must be recognized.
And still, the wheels of justice turn slowly.
The official causes of death for J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell have not been released to the public. They said they were zombies? And the official cause of death isn't released. But one burned one and had another wrapped in plastic and duct tape. Oh my God. Oh man. These are some sick individuals, you know?
Coming up, J.J. Vallow's grandparents have waited
Like,
3 years for this trial. Hear what they have to say.
Like, okay, so where's Crisis Cast? Is Crisis Cast still in here? Because he was saying things aren't what they seem. But when the guy said they're searching the property, and she was like, well, what can I do for you? Like, that was not... That's a given. That's a given. I hope they fry these fucking people.
Jay and Larry Woodcock sounded the alarm to authorities when they couldn't get a hold of Lori Vallow and had not seen their
Thank you, Harlot.
JJ for months after so much tragedy. Their real fight for justice finally begins.
It's been a long, arduous process.
She is starting to get her due.
We're on the eve of the trial now.
It has been 3 years since we witnessed Lori Vallow extradited from Hawaii to Idaho, initially on charges of child abandonment. Just tell me, how much patience have you learned from this long wait?
More than I've ever used in my entire life. It's been a long, arduous process, and we're on the eve of the trial now, and it's surreal.
What was your reaction to the judge deciding to separate Chad and Lori and have two separate trials? Was it the right choice?
You know, I think it makes no difference. I think the evidence is there. I've said that from the get-go. And I truly believe it's really not going to be that big of an issue. Personally, I would like to have seen both of them in court together.
Vallow's defense has filed a notice of alibi saying that when her children died in her brother's apartment, she was with two friends and with Chad Daybell in her own apartment. Looking at that, knowing that, are you surprised that she's basically implicating her brother Alex in the responsibility to all this?
Alex has been there, Patsy, since when they were planning it. We knew when Charles was murdered that Alex was it and that Lori was using him, and so the rest of it.
Using him or manipulating him to do the stuff with her, because he doesn't seem like he's just being blamed. He seems like he's part of it too, right? Is he not part of it? I mean, he got rid of the husband for her. And then he's going around with them talking about all these dark spirits and shit. I don't think he's being framed. I think he was used to do it. And some nasty, piss poor, pathetic people.
It went on down to when Brandon was shot at and when someone tried to shoot Tammy 10 days before she died. That was Alex.
Through every hearing, we've seen Lori appear. You know, she has the hair and the makeup done, and she smiles from time to time. Does it feel like a slap in the face every time you see her express herself this way?
No. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I have to use right now. I got to sit 6 foot behind her in that courthouse, and I can tell you right now, those leg bracelets that she had on, and those handcuffs, that hair that looked like it was combed with a combine is where it's starting to wear on her. And as far as I'm concerned, she is starting to get her dues.
What is your final message to her as trial gets underway?
We have so much faith that she's going to be sentenced to the maximum.
They killed two of the most precious things in the world. Her flesh and blood, her daughter, was murdered in the most.
Yeah, I'm down with this. Anybody want to come up? If somebody wants to come up, we can come up and talk, because I've got to look into that case. I've got to see more. Like, I get it, the news story, just that's a lot of information to try to take in, but I want to know the rest of it, and I can't really go through that on this and get the information that I'm looking for. Like, I want to be able to, I want to deep dive into it. And I'm not going to be able to do that tonight, but we are definitely going to do that. I'm going to educate myself on the Lori Vallow case. Going to find out what it is. Definitely going to follow that trial, because that is one of the most sick individuals, if she's guilty of this, and it seems like she is based off of just what the news showed right there. Like, my God. Oh, that's crazy. I'm going to drop a link. Let me get in here. Invite. Coming. Wow. That is insane to me. Like, I have never seen anything like that's I wasn't ready for that. Like, I thought it was her husband, and that's what I was listening to earlier, and I know that it was something with her kids that they were missing or something, but I wasn't sure what happened to her. I didn't know that she had done that. Like, wow. This is a hell of a time to not be smoking. I mean, obviously I'm smoking cigarettes. It is almost, huh? I might have to change that. And I'll give it a few minutes. If anybody wants to come up and talk for a little bit, we can do that. If not, I'm going to get off here and go to bed. Definitely will be back on tomorrow, though. And by the time I get on tomorrow, gonna have a whole lot more to talk about. It'll actually be planned, like I said, with everything that's been going on lately this week with the different job. Well, basically different job, same job, different place, different hours, different daily tasks, my nephew, just everything. I just haven't been able to, and I just wanted to come live today and catch up on stuff, but doesn't really seem like there's a lot going on in the Koberger case right now. Like, nothing new, nothing fresh, nothing interesting at all. And no real reason to get too deep into it. I do at some point. I know a lot of you don't care for other types of content, but I do at some point want to do a video on legitimate. Where's my mouse? I see you, J-Rod. I'm pulling you in. A lot of people don't care about it, but I've got some other topics I want to go over for, like, red pill stuff. I want the real red pill stuff, not the bull crap with the rich men can cheat. I want the real red pill stuff, not the loud. Hold on. I'll figure that out in a second. 1 second, J-Rod, don't go nowhere. But I want to give my opinion on all that mess, because a lot of what, like Andrew Tate, a lot of what he says is good information, but he just delivers it horribly, right? And then that's the short form content that people see, is where he's clipped out of context and stuff. Now, I'm not saying he's a good person. I don't know the guy. He could be a terrible person. He could be guilty of everything they say he's guilty of. I doubt it, but he could be, right? I don't know. I find it real ironic, all the stuff going on with him. But certain people from that, John, I just can't stand them. I can't stand the way they are and the things that they say with the whole what women act like and how women do and stuff, and the women only want this and that. Well, that's because it's the type of women that you're going after, but I got a whole frame of mind for that, not for this show. Now, let me figure out how I can make this work to get J-Rod on here without it being like that. Not for this show. Let me figure out how I can make this work to get J-Rod on here without it. Okay, let's see. Let's turn this down some. I might have to put on headphones or something to make this work. Let me add me to the stream here. Alright, is that gonna work? Yeah, that sounds so much better. What's up, J-Rod? It's been a long time I've been wanting to talk to you, bud.
Man, I had to catch up with you at some point.
Yeah, we've been missing each other for a while. Oh. What you had going on lately?
No, man, just here, kind of whole true crime scenario, man. I still working on the Connie Rodney case, but the Idaho 4 caught my attention. That's why I got myself involved within that case, and I got into conversations with Deputy. I did have a conversation with him like good 35 minutes. So it wasn't kind of like the quick call and gone type of thing, you know what I mean? So it was more like in-depth type of conversation. So,
what do you...
then the Alex Mordo situation, I was looking at that and just looking at it from afar, like I didn't even want to put no type of content out about it. And then by the time he became guilty, I was like, hold on, cause I'm looking at it like I already had in my head kind of like, but he definitely had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But then he went guilty, and I started looking at commentaries about the legend of the Morgan family. And by the time, you know, the Steve Meek case came out and some other things, allegedly some stories about the old Buster, not young Buster. Young Buster is Alex Mordo's son.
Right.
The old Buster is really the guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So
the one that makes people disappear.
A little interest about it. Then I was like, hold on, I might cook me a little 5 to 6 minutes of a content for a little bit, see how that works, and then probably hit him with a live stream. But I'm still thinking about it because I do have information, but it's very like over the top. But probably one day I get to it.
So what do you think about Koberger though?
Right. I wanted to, because I did told Moscow, which again I don't know if I'm not the gag order. I don't think so. Even though I did spoke with Moscow PD, I don't think I have any kind of problem. Just as a regular joke. But in the food truck cam, it has an Easter egg there. I don't know why no one has called it. And actually, I did share the Easter egg with Moscow PD, and I thought that they about to like acknowledge it. Like, like if you see something like right in your face that you see it and it's there, why won't you acknowledge it? You know what I mean? And why after I told them that also the girls that were at the celebration of life of them, also those girls that were on stage talking about them, they were true. Them two were there. Again, if we could see the food truck come, cause I wanna say, but I rather email you and talk about it like off cam. That's why I kind of like threw a little bits and bits like on the chat, but I wanted to see how you reacted to that. You know what I mean? Like to see if you was really curious about it. Because I'd rather to share that with you like outside of camera and stuff like that. Like whenever we get a chance, I shoot you an email, give you my phone number and whatnot, so we go into a conversation like outside of cam. But it's an Easter egg that again I did tell Moscow PD about it. They had to fix the timeline when Olivia information about her sister's cell phone and stuff like that. That's why they became witness and part of the case, and that's why the gag order applies to them. Because Olivia went phone without no type of requirement from court or any requirement from the cops. Like they just information that they have, even though Kylie is family member, but now she's a dead deceased. Now she's a dead person. Now you needed to stand still and wait for the cop or authorities to do what they needed to do, even though that's your sister, even though you believe that you could have helped the case, you could have hindered the case. And now you're involved in the case.
Yeah, but she turned that footage directly over to the police though. They didn't know that footage existed at the beginning. she found it, and they found the Ring doorbell cameras where the police were saying that there was no footage from that night in the beginning. And then she went out and found the footage. So, but I'm really curious. I want you to email me because I want to know what the Easter egg is, because there's a lot going on in that food truck video. There's a lot. I want to take a guess at what you're talking about. Are you talking about Kaylee and her phone and taking pictures?
It's more about the people that was there. It's the whole situation. I'll be very clear to you, like off camera again. But you could tell the body language of the victims. You could tell they were under the stress. You could tell the Kylie, she was under stress. Like her whole body language, like you're there. Like it's not like you are there. You didn't take not 1 second to just acknowledge what's going on around you, because you already know what's going on around you. Remember, Kylie's very smart, very true crime, very masterminded. Things coming. That's why she made it for her friends to come over and watch them leave Showalker, because they knew if friends that Showalker knows are there within the location, Showalker couldn't act up on them. Their friends are right there. It was 2 boys and 3 girls. 2 boys and 3 girls. Friends with Kylie, because when they came over, one of the girls hugged Kylie and told her something like, if I'm gonna guess, I believe that she told her, don't worry, we got you. And went to order to the place, to the side that they ordered. Kylie and Mandy were already waiting for. We show up right in the back. So the 3 girls, it was 3 girls, and one of the girls, 2 of the girls were at the celebration of life. The other one wasn't. From the 2 boys, one was at the celebration of life, the other one wasn't. So I'm gonna give you a little piece of cake while I talk to you on the phone or whatnot. But I give you that so that people that is watching get a little food about it, a little meat.
All right.
But then while Showalker having the conversation with the heavyset guy, whatever, the boy with the hat, he had the hat down like this. That boy was ready to fight Showalker.
The one with the jersey on?
He had the hat down like this. When he by Showalker, he went close by him. He just walked right by him like close. The other tall guy that was down at the celebration of life, he went by Showalker and he stayed facing him at the opposite side, like them two have business to handle. There was Showalker didn't want to reach them, but he already knew he caught. The other 2 boys were like, you could tell that tall boy that I don't want to say his name was there, and he was grilling him. By the time they done ordering, where the girls was, but they not getting close to the girls because their mission is Showalker. You see that tall guy rushing from behind, like, hey, I'm here. And the other guy with the cap stayed right next to, rest in peace. So it was something going on already. By the time the girls brought their food, gone. Because they knew they didn't want nothing to do with Showalker at all. he got salty while he was walking. If you realize in the footage, she's sticking his middle finger out. He's walking. So they ditched him. Again, is there all the story about Chief Fry being at the bar? If you ask me, my personal opinion, I believe that was Chief Fry.
It could have been. It looked like him.
I know Cat's body language. He was standing like this, and you're a military guy. He had his coat. He has his gun under the coat. He had his hand on the gun. And that's the stand that he had while he's talking to Adam. While Jack... Mandy, correct me if I'm wrong, she was 20 years old by then.
Who?
Mandy.
Mandy?
20 years old. Mandy, she was 20 years old
Maddie?
when that picture was taken. Maddie, yeah.
That was that night. You talking about at the club where they were talking to Jack Decor? No, that was the night she's 21.
She was 21 because
yeah.
I seen in the new telecast that they put Maddie as 20 years old.
Yeah, Ethan and Xana were 20. Maddie and Kaylee were 21.
I will note again. I seen the new telecast on the news. I think it was News Nation that they put the ages of them, and he put Maddie as 20 years old with Ethan and Xana. I gotta look. I think the video's still up there in News Nation. I'm gonna look through it, and then we're gonna talk about it.
If they did, it's just wrong. Either way, like she's 21.
Again, if she was, for example, we could do the research about it. When I seen it, she was 20. When I see the news, and I was like, she Fry there. She's 20 years not supposed to be allowed to even be drinking there at the club, and she's intoxicated, drunk. Like, we know this. Well, Chief Fry is right there. So if he was doing his job, he could have recognized that she was intoxicated, because you seen in the way she was walking.
Yeah, she was definitely drunk, but she's 21. Like, if they said it on the news was just wrong. Like, there's no doubt about Maddie's age. No doubt.
Again, if they wrong, they wrong. You know what I mean? I'm only saying.
I mean, I'm talking like it was just a typo or something, because that's not accurate whatsoever. Like, I know for a fact. No, I've done deep dives on this. Maddie and Kaylee were 21. Trying to remember their birthdays, but
so
definitely 21.
This is a conversation that we could have some other time with a little more research, because I'm gonna look for the video and I'm gonna send it to you at your email. If I find the video that he says Mandy, I'm 20 years old, I'm gonna fact check that with you, station off camera, and then if you want to bring some content out of that to reframe what the conversation is, we could do that.
Yeah, I think that was either just a misprint or bad information they had at the time, because there's zero doubt.
But again, let's go with if she was 20 years old. Okay?
May 25th, 2001. Yeah.
If she was 20, for example, she probably was there. Now he's liable. So he needed to recognize the whole room, scan the room, and detect what he needs to do.
Yeah, even it. Okay, so let's go with that though. Let's say, regardless, right? Like, I know she was 21, but let's say even if she was 20, if he doesn't personally know her, then he would have no reason to ask her for an ID because she hadn't committed a crime. So he wouldn't have any reason unless he has some association with the bar as far as like ownership or works there or whatever. And I get what you're saying about the way the guy was standing, like, but I'll roll with you on all of it. She was 20, say that was definitely Chief Fry, and he was standing with holding his gun. The way that guy was standing, I agree with you, right? But when I was in the Army, I was a military police officer, right? I don't bring that up a whole lot because it's irrelevant compared to real regular police. Civilian police is not the same whatsoever, right? But duty belts are the same. And when you stand as a cop...
Thank you for watching me for our country. I got the t-shirt of the military that says
appreciate it.
Support our troops. I don't know if people see it.
Yeah, I can read it. Appreciate that. But when you lean on that gun, it's like a resting stand. You can lean on that gun.
Yeah.
What does it say? Right. But
yeah, so I want to say real quick, because again, when I see it on the news, right, automatically the first thing that if that's Chief Fry at the location, you seen the way she was walking the sidewalk, you seen the way she was in the food truck, so I believe that at the bar she was acting in the same manner. That's the only thing that I could think of. So if she's inebriated doing this, standing still or whatnot, because what we seen from the video in the club, it just is still. But if we have video, we could see if she was acting all like, you say like unbalanced and stuff like that. Because if she was acting unbalanced right in front of an officer, the officer should have approached the situation right away.
You had to remember she was in a bar. If you're gonna be drunk and unbalanced, you're gonna in a bar. That's good. Like I think you caught up on the wrong points here.
She's underage, and the officer didn't recognize that someone kind of like needed some kind of help because they were drunk.
Well, she had plenty of help though.
The person is liable. You know what I mean?
I know what you're trying to say here, but it's completely irrelevant to me. Like I can't buy into it because for one, I know she was 21. For two, I don't think that was Chief Fry. I think that was they had some excuse for who it was. Could have been Chief Fry, but I'm not completely sold that it wouldn't. But I'm not sold that it was either. But even just to say it was a cop in general, a drunk girl at a bar isn't that crazy. That's where you get drunk. That's where she would be. And she's there at that time with the pictures. Those stills were from a video, right? They weren't just pictures. They were stills from a video. And she's there with 4 other friends. So there would be no reason for a stranger to ask her for an ID for her age anyway, unless he suspected or had some reason to believe.
Rephrase that, but he's not a stranger. He's an officer, actually the head chief in charge of the whole town, so not a total stranger.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he knows every college student.
Like UK, like, do you need some help? Will you need me to take you home? You know, him as chief officer of the town, if he's moonlighting, and if he's at the bar, obviously the reason for him to be at the bar is because he's overwashing. So if he see, for example, let's say she was 21 and if she was inebriated.
Y'all really do live in a police state out there in California, huh?
You know, for example, if you see this girl don't have no balance and then her friend is kind of like, all right, and they talking to, let's say, Jack, right? But he see as an officer that this person is unbalanced and don't see these other people taking her right away home, and they're just kind of like mingling around with drunk person,
anywhere but a bar, bruh.
They need to be taking, especially when it's a young lady, a college area. Do you understand? I live in a college town, so I know
I feel
we got
ya.
clubs over here, and we know how the cops are over here. We a college town, like it's Alliance, Ohio. This is a college town, so it's just like Idaho type of thing, like Moscow, Idaho. It's that little, you know what I mean? So this town depends from the university, everything.
Yeah, but it's completely irrelevant because she's an adult in a bar. She's an adult drunk in a bar with friends, and Jack Showalter looks sober as hell. And the food truck video makes it seem like they're not comfortable with him. I give you 100%. But the video where they're walking down the road talking to him, they were very comfortable with him. And that's right after.
Do officers do what checks?
The officers do what?
I'm gonna ask you as an ex-officer. Do officers do welfare checks just to make sure that someone is okay? Like, hey, miss, how you doing? I'm Chief Fry. Are you okay? Do you need any assistance? If an officer,
it's possible, but it's not required for him to do it. It's possible he could. But you realize the whole premise is off because she was 21.
I understand, but here's the thing. He don't know if she's 21 or not.
Right, but he has no reason to ask.
If an officer is moonlighting on a club, inebriated or drunk, or just literally acting like, you are obligated to ask that person if he needs assistance.
No, you're not. Not at all.
I'm just going for what they told me.
They lied to you. You're not. You're not.
So they did.
If that person was having a medical issue, you're obligated. You're not obligated over drunk. But we can agree to disagree there. To me, that's nothing. I'm very interested in what you have to say about the food truck. But as far as in the bar, no. Not a chance. Because I know she was 21. I don't know that was Chief Fry. And if he was, then he couldn't. Like, he couldn't. Like, he has no... He could ask her, are you okay? But she has no reason to acknowledge him, answer him, give him any ID, do anything whatsoever.
If she's drunk, and if the officer is in the club, moonlighting, or checking that drunk people, you understand me?
The officer going in the club looking for drunk people, he gonna find a bunch.
If you as an officer, you're in the club, automatically, you are checking for drunk people. There's no question about that.
And you're gonna find a bunch, is what I'm saying.
So my point here in this case is, in this one particular case, not minor, but 20 years old, not authorized to drink on the club, let's say, for example, if that was the case, it would be liable. And the university, like everybody would look bad in this situation. So that's what I'm saying. So it's making the university and Moscow PD looking bad about the whole investigation. Not just the bar thing. The fee is nothing. I could fact check that with you some other day. I could send you some paperwork. I could even, hook you up with these people that told me what they told me. That's no problem.
Yeah, people say anything.
If you want me to. So like that, I don't look that crazy over you. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that right now, as we speak, due to, I told Moscow PD about the Easter egg of the food truck, and they went the whole other way. They had it fixed, the timeline. The Olivia told them due to that they were forced to change it because the...
You like Chronicles of Olivia? Do you like Chronicles of Olivia?
Huh?
Do you like Chronicles of Olivia?
If you want me to tell you the truth, I don't watch
do you trust that she spoke with Kaylee's parents?
She was there. She was there. I seen the video.
You seen the interviews, right?
I see her content. I see her content. Not reliable.
With Kaylee's parents?
Not reliable.
That's crazy to me because Kaylee's parents are reliable. Kaylee's dad is reliable. How is he not?
I don't trust him. Me personally, I don't trust him.
Well, we just disagree right there. Like, it's fine.
No,
we can disagree, you know.
I agree to disagree, though. I agree to disagree, my friend. Like, that's
Yeah.
part of the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we disagree there, but that's how I know that Maddie is 21.
Okay.
So there's no question to me.
You have a very freaking, and that's why I appreciate talking to you because you're not a follower. You like to go with your own understanding, and this is good from another man that is independent, just like I don't follow all the content creators. Like I support you, and I'm here today because I respect you, man. You have gained my respect. Like the analysis and the polite, the whole way though is honest, and I like that because now a lot of people get like that sincere. Let me just tell you how I feel about it. Like a lot of people got characters around here, and I gotta say I do appreciate you for being a real man.
Oh yeah. There's just some facts are just facts, you know.
It's good for the people in the community to see the two content creators, collaborators could be some. It's still a healthy conversation.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Harlot. What J-Rod is saying on what he's thinking here is that she wasn't old enough to be in the bar in the first place. And if Fry was there and saw her drunk in the bar and didn't intervene some way to offer her assistance, then that makes the police department look bad because he's in a picture with a drunk minor, right, at the bar. And then later on that drunk minor gets murdered and he had nothing. That's what he's saying. That's where it would tie in if she was 20. Now, my opinion, as far as I know, everything I've been told, everything I've seen, she's 100% 21 years old. So, and I disagree, just in general, that if you're drunk in a bar, that a cop has any obligation whatsoever to come to you and offer you assistance. Now, if you're drunk in a bar and you go to the cop and ask for assistance, that's a different story because he's there to serve the public, on duty, off duty, whatever, especially being the chief. But I don't agree that he would have any reason to ask her age at the bar because he's not running the establishment unless he has some reason to be suspicious that she's not of age already, and then he could say, oh, she's committing a crime, right? But as far as anything else, to me, that would be violating her rights to go up to her in a bar where you're expected to be drinking, and it's understood that you're going to be drinking and drunk, and ID you for being drunk.
You know the bartender's drunk and inebriated, and if they see you drunk and inebriated, they're not allowed to serve you no more, right? And you'll be taken out of the bar right away.
You're not wrong there. I agree with you there. The bartender's supposed to cut you off at a certain point.
I just need you to understand from where I come from. Again, I just let you know that I'm in a town that is a college, have business, local officials around.
Yeah, well, I've had my experience in college and bars too.
Let me send you some stuff to the email later on, like probably not tonight, but during the week. Let me send some stuff to your email. We could come back and talk about the necessary. You know, if it was a matter of conversation, we could come back and talk about that later on. But if you allow me to send you some information about it, that'll be awesome. But again, like bartenders understand that somebody is drunk, you're not allowed to be at the bar no more. So.
Or you can still be at the bar, you just can't be served more alcohol.
You know what I mean? And it gets even worse if an officer is already there and they didn't do nothing about it. Just to let you know. But again, that's not a matter of conversation here. Food truck. The food truck, I believe I might be right. I believe the two of the victims were the food truck. And I don't think that's a taboo to talk about it. And it sucks that they don't even realize that not one content creator has said nothing about it. You could see Santa and you could see Ethan right there on camera. Nobody said nothing about it. They said that tall
at
guy
the food
was
truck?
somebody else. They said the tall guy was somebody else. I don't know why. I don't know why they say it's somebody else. But if you look at the food truck, you see Santa and you see Ethan together with the two girls and the one boy. And Kaylee called them because they wanted to leave Showalker. They didn't want her to walk home with Showalker.
Yeah, I'm not against that they called somebody to come get them. I ain't seen Ethan and Xana there, but I'm not going to say they weren't. There's a lot of people at the food truck, but I'll look back at it for sure.
Yeah, take a look back at it, bro, because it kind of like bothers me. Like, the cops didn't acknowledge them. I don't know why. No, not Plunder. Shout out to her. Love you, Plunder. No, I said, that's Ethan. Look at Santa talking to him right there. They both seem together. That's them. And that makes sense. Kylie texting them to come with their friends to back them up so they could leave Showalker behind. And again, the body language, you've seen it. Watch the video. You see the body language of Ethan brushing Showalker from behind and everything. And Showalker walked 2 steps forward because he brushed him from behind. And the guy with the low cap, he was staring at Showalker the whole time. He wanted to fight him. I'm from the street. When body language, someone don't like me, somebody want a little something. You know what I mean? So I took a look at that. I did share it with Moscow. Moscow didn't pay attention to that. I was like, okay, so it's a reason for that you're not even acknowledging that. So again, either I'm crazy and goes, or Moscow PD is really doing some bullshit.
Do me a favor on the food truck stuff. Do me a favor, and on the email when you send it to me, screenshot the pictures of Ethan and Xana. So like circle them or something. Okay. Show me who you're talking about, because I see this one girl who really favors Xana. I can't say that it is or ain't. I like want to put them side by side, but I wearing a black sweatshirt with like 3 letters across the front.
That was the one that told Ethan. That was the one that told him don't order for you, good friend.
You broke up there with
he didn't order nothing. He walked back again because she already ordered for him.
Yeah, send me those in the email. Show me who you're talking about.
I got you, bro. I appreciate you for having me, man. I'm not gonna take too much of your time. Thank you for having me on your platform. This conversation is amazing, brother.
Oh yeah.
So I appreciate you having me here, and I thank you.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate you coming up.
Hey, my man, listen. I'm gonna send you an email. I'm gonna send you actually my phone number, so if you get a chance, we can have a conversation. That'll be awesome. Big shout out to the moderators. Big shout out to the chat. And thank you for having me, man. Hopefully we could come back to the station with a little bit more information, and we could have a little chat about it with your community.
Yeah. Just send me that in the email. We'll talk about it for sure.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, we'll see you, bud.
Have a good day, brother.
Oh. All right. So, obviously, like I told him, I disagree there. I'm not going to say I disagree about Ethan and Xana being at the food truck. I never noticed them at the food truck, but they could be if there's some different people that I haven't seen. Very possible. But he emailed me, send me the pictures. I'll tell you what I think about that next time. As far as the bar stuff, I disagree. As far as Maddie's age, she was definitely 21. But everybody's entitled to have their own opinions and thoughts and stuff on it. And, you know, I can say what I think. He can say what he thinks. And that's, you know, what it is. But I appreciate you coming up. I appreciate everybody coming by. I'm going to get off here and go to bed. I got to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning. So, thanks everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow because I will be live again tomorrow. Thank you moderators too for all the help. Y'all did a great job going through here, posting links and stuff. I really do appreciate it.